welcome to another episode of Sixers in Six. There's been a lot of talk since I've last been on the YouTube or podcast, and I thought I'd go through a quick few things over the next 6 minutes to talk about the Sixers and the situation we found ourselves in now that it's finally been confirmed. James Harden is opted in, but he doesn't want to stay. So, James Harden, I really wanted him to stay and do the opt-in and maybe stay for 1 year, then review it or sign a 2-year deal. So I completely support Morey in this, like not going for the 3 years or 4 years that he's reportedly wanting. You can't do that for a player that has been inconsistent in his productivity. He's been elite one night and then just missing the next. And it's just you can't do that while you're demanding a certain amount of money or a certain amount of years. At the age that he is in the NBA, you just can't do that. So I'm fully supported behind the Sixers in the decision not to offer him a long-term deal. And I wouldn't be mad if reports came out next week or the week after saying James Harden now wants to stay in Philadelphia and play out the contract or whatever. I would be cool with that. But in an ideal situation, now that he wants that, we probably will need to move on from him. So the rumours about the Clippers, there's rumours about the Knicks. Now, we're not extending Maxey this summer because we want to save up our salary, do it next year. You've got all that to think about. So that means, for me, they're looking at pieces. It looks like they can't move Harris right now, or it doesn't look likely they're going to move Harris. They're probably going to go with getting some bench rotation players in. We've let a lot of them go. McDaniels, Niang, and Milton all gone. Now, I'm not the biggest Shake fan in the world, but for what he went for, probably would have paid that. Niang, I think I wouldn't have paid that for Niang, to be honest with you. McDaniels, I would have matched that 100%. I think McDaniels was a good player for us and could have been even better this year. So now, for me, I think we're now looking to get in return potentially, a solid starter and a rotation player. That's what I think is going to happen now, rather than trying to get another aging superstar for Harden. I think we're probably going to get a couple of pieces in between, or that's what Morey's certainly looking at. And if we don't get that, we're in trouble potentially. Tonight's a big game. There's a Springer game tonight. Everyone's going to be calling it because some league Springer's playing, Nurse is coaching. I love that Nick Nurse is coaching, but that means there's a lot of focus on Springer as well. So even if Springer develops and maybe one other player, you still need a couple more here and there just to come in. So for me, it's really, really important that the trade gets done in the right manner, in a timely manner that allows the Sixers to be able to build this roster over the summer, because I don't want to be going into training camps, going into a couple of weeks before the season, going into preseason games like we did last year with Simmons and things like that. Not last year before Simmons. I don't want any sort of potential issues. I want a nice clean season with Nurse as the head coach. It's really going to be a change for the team having a new head coach. So Morey's got to do what he needs to do, and he's proven he'll hold out and try and get a good deal. And I think we did get a good deal for the Harden Simmons thing. We got production out of Harden. Harden won a few playoffs games. We had a good season overall in a regular season. We can't complain too much other than the fact we obviously went out in the second round. So for me, get a couple of decent solid rotation players. That you need that. Another player that's happy to be that fourth option, I suppose. So if you do go into this season, you can't move Harris, and you just accept this could be a second round exit season, but let's give Maxey the reins, make him the number 2 option. And that could potentially take us further because he's going to have more freedom, more play. But I think he'll benefit from having a legit point guard. We'll see. Pat Bev is a great signing. I think having him come off the bench as a point guard, that dog mentality, I love that. Having him and PJ Tucker with that experience is going to be fantastic. Now, was Pat Bev going to give us great production on a consistent basis? No, he's not. He will give us consistent defense, consistent voice, and I think he'll be a real good addition to the locker room. But his production's not going to be there. So for me, we still need that backup point guard we need that starting point guard. We've got the backup one, Maxey, bit of shooting guard, bit of point guard. I think, he can't be a 38-minute a night point guard, in my opinion. I think he's got to be hit and miss. You've got to give him different times. He's not going to be consistent enough with the ball unless we go all out on that. So I don't know. Springer, hopefully we'll get some time shooting guard as well. So we could have a young backcourt we might want to mould. At the moment, we don't know what's going to happen. But for me, we've got to go all in. So we've got to go in and maybe get that starter in, put Harris into third choice, as a third option again, because he thinks he's that 40% shooter or whatever. He was saying in his interview about training for a cookie. It's a brand that he supports, and has got money in, so fair play to him. So yeah, Joe, plug in that, fair play to him, let him do that. But at the end of the day, I'd rather move on from Harris, but I don't think we're going to be able to move Harris and Harden this offseason. And it's going to be a priority to get rid of Harden because he's kind of voiced that he wants to be out. Whereas I think with Harris, he's more of a professional in Harden in that sense. I think, if he doesn't get traded, he'll still play hard, still do it, put on a fat suit and all that lot, or pretend to be injured and things like that. I think, with Harris, he's more of a professional like that. So I'd rather have that on my team than a Harden that doesn't want to be here. Like I said, unless it all comes out and Harden, and it's legitimate with him and Morey and they agree to some sort of arrangement. I don't know what that would be, but Daryl Morey and him have that close relationship, or certainly did. So you expect that to happen. So yeah, key things. I don't think Harris is going to be traded now because of Harden. Harden needs to be traded unless Morey works some sort of magic with him and does it, and then we can move Harris on, because that's what I was looking for this season is, can we move Harris on, keep Harden one more year and try and do something? That would have been the ideal situation, but we'll have to wait and see over the next couple of weeks. But let's hope that Springer has a good summer league, starting tonight, and hope for the best and see if we can get some development out of some of these players. We need to have some luck. I don't remember the last time we picked up an undrafted player, developed them, and they became a solid player to give us solid minutes in a playoff game. Like I don't, and because obviously we had plenty of undrafted players during the process, but like given solid minutes in a playoff game, kind of like the Heat have found and other teams have found. Why can't we have that? So let's hope that Nurse can identify that for us and get some players while he's coaching the summer league team. Thanks for listening or watching. Don't know if you're watching on YouTube or listening on podcast. You'll hear another podcast and YouTube video this week on my other channel with Glenn on With the English Podcast, which will come out soon this week, where we review the draft in a bit more detail. We were meant to do a pre-draft thing, but unfortunately my laptop broke. So we had to wait for a new one, and Glenn's been on holiday. Thanks for watching, and let's go Sixers.